circle. And I appreciate that one too, because the smartphones, the canopy thing, that's when they're gone and away and these sort of things. But at the same time, you can use something called Circle, which works within your Wi-Fi, within your router at your home. And so within that, you can control that on the app, and you can set different internet breaks, you can set different boundaries in there, you can set different how certain things are used from the main device. So if mom or dad has the main Circle device on there, and maybe you're out of town or whatever it is, you can just cut it off at 8 o'clock. You can just cut the whole internet in the house off remotely from your phone at whatever time that you want to. Turn it back on at whatever time you want to. If you don't want them on this is big for laptops and tablets, okay? So if you're in the home and you don't want them on the laptop or the tablet after a certain time, and you've already got Canopy on the phone or whatever it is, then you can control the internet to each device as well. So it just gives you something to grab onto in this overwhelming kind of world of social media, of smartphones, and of all these sort of usage of these sort of things. I want to share a couple of things just briefly, and then I want to move into some question and answer time. There's an article by Tony Reinke, who works within Desiring God, which is John Piper's website and ministry that he has. But I want to read these, and maybe we can discuss them a little bit as we turn to question and answer time right after this. But there's this article that says 12 tips for parenting in a digital age. And I just want to read the 12 of them just up front, and if we want to discuss any of them, we can. But the first one is delay social media as long as possible. So many of our parents in here who may not have teenagers, who may not have social media already, I'd encourage you to delay social media as long as you possibly can. It's not necessary. No matter how much they tell you it is not necessary. They'll say, I need to spend time with my friends, I need to talk to my friends, this is how I connect with my friends, but then all the percentages and all the studies say they feel lonelier than they ever have. So, throw that out there, okay? Delay smartphones as long as possible. Inside the home, take control of the Wi-Fi, some of the things like Circle or Canopy. Outside the home, connect without smartphones. That's a family sort of thing that we can do. When we get outside of the home, just leave the phone in the car when you go somewhere, put it away, whatever it is. Stair-step technology over the years. Essentially, this just means having a plan in place from a certain age of when we're going to introduce new things. And so it's not all at once, but rather you can introduce different things so you can have conversations at each step within that. As a blanket rule for all ages and all devices, keep the screens out of the bedrooms. Significant one. Now, again, there's an aspect of this as a parent of saying you can't have your phone in there. Do it with them. Say all of us, we're going to put our phone on the kitchen counter, charge it out there overnight, whatever it is, and the whole family puts their phone out there. Listen, there would be much more obedient, I guess you could say, if mom and dad and everybody is doing this together. And it's beneficial for the whole family. Write a smartphone contract. I really like that one. That just really establishes just some real world sort of things. So it teaches them. If you break these sort of contracts in the same kind of way with their jobs one day, whatever it is, within their schools and college, there's consequences to those things. Watch how each child responds to the digital age. Each one of your children are different. Recenter parenting on the affections. Part of this is what I spoke on in terms of when we looked at the scripture. Being able to parent towards our children's affections. Being able to point our children to Christ and show them why Christ is greater than any of these other things that they can find on social media. But we can say that to them, but we need to show them as well. Christ needs to be first and foremost in our own eyes, in our own homes, first priority for them to even pick up on that. Take up digital discipleship, so just being willing to have those sort of conversations. A big piece of that is within the pornography sort of things. Being able to have those conversations with your children in a discipleship kind of way. And as a family, redeem dinners, car rides, and vacations. I love this one because it is so important. Dinner around the table, phones away, car ride, put the phones down, talk about something. Vacations, even say, for this vacation, no phones. We're not using them. We'll figure out how we need to get. I think all of us have figured out how to use MapQuest before. If I've used MapQuest in my life, I'm 31, I think everybody else has used MapQuest in here, and we can figure out where we need to go. Okay, and then the last one he has is keep building the church. Make church a priority for them. Keep pointing them towards Christ, showing them that there's a greater community than what they can have just on the internet and on social media and all of these sort of things. So at this time, I want to just be able to have some conversations and take some questions. Again, I know this is a lot of statistics, a lot of facts. I hope you can see just the care and the love that I want to try to express in this. I'll take this from Jenny Sigmund, who says this to me plenty of times, but to speak with grace and truth, as Jesus said. And so there's a grace in that, but there's a truth that we have to say as well. We have to know the statistics of our kids that are what's happening to them. We have to understand what's going on within the social media world, but then at the same time, there's a grace to there. I'm not here to reprimand you, but rather try to inspire you and encourage you to really take up a mantle on this and make a difference within your homes. And so, if you have any questions, I'm ready. Whatever you got. Someone's got it right there.
Okay, so we're not saying, or what you're not saying is that, like, don't ever let your kids have social media. Like, don't put them, completely disconnected, because then they're going to do that. I mean, they're going to do it behind your back. They're going to find a way to do it, right? So we're not saying like they can't have any social media accounts, right?
Right, correct.
So then, what if you allow them to have one? Which one would you allow them to have? And what would you, like you talked about, at what stages? What's your plan to let them introduce these technologies and different levels of responsibility? Like, I know that's probably different per family, but
no, I understand. So, I think at the same time, though, I would not say in a blanket statement that none of them should have social media. But at the same time, I would also highly encourage it to not use it because it is unnecessary in many sort of ways. But within that, I mean, part of it is just being able to take control back as the parent within the home. You know what I mean? Being able to take control back and not just kind of giving in to the complaints or everybody else has it or these sort of arguments of this, and to be able to have conversations and say, okay, you can have Snapchat, but each week we need to look at it, right? Each week we need to talk about it, each week we need to discuss it, and I want to see who you are talking with or any of these sort of things. Now, again, within like Snapchat or Instagram and those sort of things, it's going to be hard to monitor it all the time because of how they can hide things. It's going to be hard to monitor it, but an important piece of that is if you're having conversations with your children, if you're having weekly conversations with them, you can hope at least and be praying that you're pointing them towards Christ. And because, again, they're going to have to make some decisions for themselves. Okay, so when they get from 14 to 15 and 16 and 17, those decisions are increasing, the responsibilities are increasing. You don't want to send them off to college or the workforce or whatever it is, and then they're going to do whatever they want and get whatever they want. And so really just trying to establish conversations within the home. And a big piece of that is using a contract with things and saying we're going to talk about this. I mean, to say which one I would allow them to have is difficult because of the hidden sort of features in all of them. I would say, no, this is hard because I don't like any of them, but I would say, in terms of hiding things, I think Instagram would be the hardest to hide things the most, I would say. But still, at the same time, there's enough issues within that. But then within Instagram, too, you can see who they're following. You can see who's following them. You're able to monitor those sort of things. And part of that is having the password to their account. Okay, so having their login info. And it's not to say that you're going on there every single day to check it all of the time, but to know that you have it. And to have those sort of logins. And a big piece of that is being able to monitor the phone because you can just see what new apps are being downloaded, what new things are coming on, and that sort of stuff. I don't know if that answers it fully, but the big piece of this I want us to be able to do as parents is to be able to have conversations again with our kids and just talk about real things and just kind of get in the mud a little bit and to have conversations that we just are not fun to have necessarily, but they're vital and they're important. Other questions? Yes.
Not a question, but more of a comment. Thank you for speaking to our children tomorrow. It's definitely impactful. It's good for them to hear from somebody other than mom.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks. I saw a documentary on Netflix last year called Social Dilemma.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're coming at this from the biblical perspective, Social Dilemma was a documentary produced or made about the people that actually invented social media and how bad it is for us and our children, and for the different reasons that you spelled out today. So here are the inventors of social media telling us it's how bad it is. So we made all our children sit down and watch that. Of course, they played on their phones the whole time. But it helped me. I got off social media as soon as I saw it, once I knew how badly I was being manipulated by algorithms and all those bad things that are out there. But I think that comes at it from a different perspective than the perspective you're coming from, but it's the same thing. And I don't know, I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, no, I recommend that. I just said, don't watch too much Netflix. But that's a great movie to watch. That's a great movie to watch on Netflix. I'd highly recommend seeing that and having your family sit down with it. And even something even shorter than that, they just had a 60 minutes special Monday. I think 60 minutes.
Sunday.
But 60 minutes, I believe, because it comes on YouTube for me. That's all I know. But so they did a 60 minute special on Facebook and Instagram, because Facebook owns Instagram and it owns the WhatsApp. And so somebody within Facebook that had worked there for multiple years had collected documents over all their time that they were there, copied them all, and have thousands and thousands of paperwork and emails and memos and all these sort of things that show specifically how those sort of social media apps work in a way which is obvious for more of profit than the safety or the health of the users of the apps. And so they know what's going to get the clicks, they know what's going to get the attention, they know what's going to happen, and they specifically, within their own meetings, with their own conversations with each other, say, keep doing this, keep having this, because money and money and money. And so even just within that, again, like you said, even outside of a biblical perspective, the manipulation that occurs throughout social media, and I believe even in that Social Dilemma movie, those people who created the iPhones would not let their children have iPhones.
Mm-hmm.
Like they say that my own kids aren't having this. Okay, that's a pretty red flag. Just a pretty big red flag. Like that's all I need to see in that sort of sense. And speaking on tomorrow, just so you all know as well, so we're going to look with the students. I'm going to give some facts, but if you all know, like if I stand up here and I say like, stop using social media, what are you doing? Stop it. Like these are your stats. They're all going to go, yeah. Like whatever, dude. Whatever you gotta say. Whatever it is. But so I want to point them to Christ. So a big piece of chapel tomorrow is pointing them to the cross, pointing them to the beauty of Christ, pointing them within 2 Corinthians in chapter 3 and verse 18, where it says we come with an unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, and that we are made into his image, going from one glory to another. So this idea that the purpose of us following Christ is not for us just to kind of get on this lazy river and progress every 10 years or so, and then be able to say, yeah, at 10 years old I was one level of maturity, and then at 20 I was another, and at 30 I was another, and at 40 I was another, and so on and so forth. But rather, this journey and this relationship with Christ is meant for us to behold him, so that we become more like him each and every day. And I want to try to point out tomorrow with our students of just what beholding does to us, like what we behold, what we look at. I saw a quote recently that the black mirror is what they call it within our phones, but this screen within our phones, what it does is it exposes the desires of our heart. It exposes the desires of our heart. So what we see on there is what our heart desires. And so whether it's a materialistic thing and all we're doing on our phone is shopping and looking for the next thing, it is exposing that desire in our heart. Significantly within the pornography sort of things, if 93% of teenage boys look at pornography, that's not a public school statistic or a private school statistic, that's teenagers, okay? So it doesn't matter if they're at the Christian school or the public school. I truly believe that 93% of those boys is very accurate in what they've been exposed to in terms of pornography, and so that then exposes the desires of our heart. For some of us adults, if it's the politics, if it's the drama, if it's the Facebook sort of things, it exposes the desires of our heart, what we spend our time scrolling and watching and looking at. And so just a little preview, that's what we're going to sort of touch on tomorrow on Wednesday. Yes.
Do you recommend setting the
Individual phone restrictions?
Yes, you know, get their phones, I'm going to screen time, downtime, I'm doing everything clean, setting the downtime, removing apps I don't want them to have. So I guess we still need to do that.
Yes.
And still do the canopy, so it sounds canopy, it sounds like it can be controlled remotely as well.
Right, so I think what I've seen is Canopy has allowed me to do less of checking an actual phone.